Coming home from a long run around the rack and getting a glass of water from the sink. About an hour after you run, you feel horribly sick. You go to the hospital and find out that the reason for your pain and sickness is because your water is contaminated. That is when you would start to care about water pollution. Don't wait for that to happen. You should start caring now. Toxic chemicals from major factories are being dumped into lakes, rivers, and streams, and ultimately into the water that we drink. We live in a world where water is a necessity for life, and we need to know what we're putting into our bodies. I would like to inform you about the many health problems that are associated with chemicals and toxins in the water. For example, high levels of fluoride have been found in the tap water that many families drink and use, which has led to serious dental problems in thousands of people. I myself have witnessed cloudy or foggy water that came from the faucet in my very own sink, which sparked my interest in water pollution and toxic chemicals in the water, which led me to do some research on the web and in books to get an understanding of what water pollution is, and more specifically, the chemicals that can be getting into the water that we consume. Today I will discuss about what water pollution is and what the toxic pollutants in the water can do to our bodies. Let's begin by talking about what water pollution is. Water pollution is the second most imperative environmental concern, along with air pollution. It is any change or modification in the physical, chemical, and biological properties of water that has a fatal consequence on living things. Some examples are the chemical runoff from major factories that can get into nearby water supplies and endanger the environment as well as the wildlife. APEC, or the Advanced Purification Engineering Corporation, stated that chemicals like lead, cyanide, fluoride, and even mercury have been found in water that we drink, and all of these chemicals, if ingested frequently, can be deadly. Also, even sewage and wastewater from citizens contribute to water pollution. Just by washing your car outside, you can be polluting the earth, because some of the chemicals in the soap can flow down the drain and end up getting into the water. In an article published by Lintec, a water treatment and purification company, there are two types of sources of water pollution: point and non-point sources. Point sources dump waste into specific spots through pipelines or sewers to surface water. And secondly, non-point sources dispose of waters inconspicuously and are nearly impossible to trace the perpetrators. Now that we have discussed what water pollution is, let's talk about the many health effects associated with water pollution. Firstly, chemicals that can and have been found in water can range anywhere from lead to mercury, and in great amounts, these chemicals could potentially cause problems like nervous system disorders, certain cancers, skin problems, and even death. Because our water pollution doesn't always damage our health immediately, it can be harmful after long-term exposure. And the treatment for these problems are in some cases delayed because the patient doesn't know that it is their water that is making them sick. There are several cases all over the United States where children's teeth are left with permanent dark spots or discoloration because of the overwhelming amount of fluoride that is in the water. According to an article in the New York Times written by Matthew Black and Charles Duhigg, in 2003, a study took place in West Virginia to see just how fluoride in the water of a small town affected the people that lived there. The researchers studied the amounts of the tap water ingested and compared it to the damage to children's teeth and that of the adults. After a year of observations, the results were that the children that drank tap water from the faucet had a mild to severe case of fluorosis, while the adults were not as severely affected by the fluoride as the children. The reason the children develop fluorosis more often than the adults is because during the development of teeth, chemicals like fluoride can get dissolved or absorbed into the child's developing teeth. And not only does fluoride cause discoloration on the teeth, but also exposure to fluoride causes bone disease, skin lesions, and death. But my question is this: why has nothing been done to end water pollution? According to an article in the New York Times written by Charles Duhigg, companies are given hundreds of violations by the Department of Public Health and Environment to stop the dumping of their chemicals into the water, or they could be faced with a serious lawsuit. But yet they still continue to do it. When will it be enough? Today we have learned that water pollution is damaging not only to the environment and wildlife, but also damaging to our health. Water pollution is so much more than chewing gum wrappers or a McDonald's cup that is thrown along the side of the road. It can consist of toxic chemicals that can end up in the water that is consumed by us, as well as animals, causing serious health problems, or in some cases even death. According to the United States Geological Survey, 97% of the Earth's water is salty or undrinkable, and the remaining 3% is either fresh water or locked in ice caps. If the pollution and utter disregard of our Earth proceeds, there will be no water left to drink, and then what?